Hello everyone and welcome back to Abundantly Minimal. Today we have a very fun decluttering challenge and it is the A to Z decluttering challenge. Now here's how it works. As you might suspect from the title of it, you will be trying to declutter at least 26 items, ideally one thing that starts with each letter of the alphabet. Now, of course, I never want anyone to declutter something that they'll regret later, so don't push it so hard if you're having trouble with a certain letter of the alphabet. Feel free to switch out one if you are really stumped and can't think of anything for a different letter. With that in mind, I think sometimes a challenge like this can help us see our belongings in a different way. And of course, each individual item could have a variety of different letters associated with it, so it forces us to think a bit more creatively when going through our items, and maybe it will make decluttering a bit more fun. Over the past few days, I have completed this challenge, and today is my show and tell of the 26 plus items that I am decluttering. And as we go through each item, I'll walk through a little bit of a rationale about that to hopefully inspire ideas for you and think, I've got something like that maybe I can declutter or let go of. And if you are new around here and are looking for more decluttering ideas and minimalist inspiration, you're in the right place. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future videos. All right, first up, starting with A, I used up this bottle of apple cider vinegar gummies. This is a good reminder to think if you've got any supplements that you maybe got from some sort of promotion or incentive or just to try and they didn't work for you, or not necessarily that they were bad, but you just didn't use them up, this can be your reminder to do it. For me, this was one that I enjoyed it. The gummies themselves tasted great. I really like the brand Mary Ruth's for different supplements, but I'm just not going to rebuy this again, and I wasn't taking it regularly like other supplements I have. It was just something I wanted to use up. So that's A. And B, I have a blue tank. And with this, actually, I genuinely love this tank. I did buy it secondhand. It was actually secondhand, but it was new. The tags were still on it when I bought it from a thrift shop. And I really love it. I still love it, but sometimes we love something, but it's just not what we choose to wear. And I have a variety of tanks like this in the summer, but all of them have a built-in bra except this one. And I'm just gonna be honest, I don't choose this one for that reason. Just more convenient not to worry about that. So even though I love this, and I did wear it several times, I am choosing to let it go based upon practicality. For C, I have this candle. I've never actually burned it, but I just don't love the smell of it, and I'm also not much of a candle girl. So it was a gift, and I will be re-gifting. D is for something that you don't trust. And one of those things, this was a collapsible cup, and it's a collapsible travel mug. I know there's a straw that pops out. Well, lovely, the straw just rolled underneath the chair I'm sitting in. But I just don't trust collapsible cups. This one's actually the most sturdy one I've ever had. We did not buy this. Now it's all popped up. It's the most sturdy one I've ever had or received, but I just don't trust them. And I also don't think since I work from home, I don't think I'd really be using it much because I would just make whatever latte or thing that I'm making around the house and enjoy it there. So if you've got any products that you just don't trust, you'll probably never use them. So that would be a great thing to let go of. For E, I'm decluttering this Ethernet cord. This was very helpful for a variety of purposes over the last few years, but those situations have changed. My husband Jake was teaching remotely from home for a while, and the internet in our office was not optimal for being on Zoom, especially with all these different students logging in. So we had this 50-foot Ethernet cord running through our house during that phase. And I also used to use this for coaching sessions with my Better With Less course, just to make sure I had a good connection. But as those things are not happening anymore, there's really no need for this. And of course we thought, well, what if we need it again? Is it worth saving just to keep the cord? But honestly, it's such a mess and a headache to have such a large cord like this, and it's automatically getting tangled. I think the odds are likely we wouldn't necessarily need a 50-foot one again, and don't really want that running around the house, especially in the future with kids or pets or anything in the future. It's just easier to get rid of it. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna donate. F is folders. Both my husband and I were former teachers, and we had a bunch of different school supplies left over, many of which we donated to our fellow teachers when we left the classroom, but we still kept some for our own personal use in various projects that we're working on. But now that we've both been full-time for 1 year on our Mr. and Mrs. Social Studies business, we've realized that we don't really need as much as we have, and our gym is actually doing a school supply collection. So that was a great motivator to look through and see what we had. So we found 3 folders that we don't need anymore. G is also school related, and this is a World Geography Transparency book. Blast from the Past, Overhead Transparencies. I believe this came from my first teaching job, materials there. No one was using transparencies at that point, but I was thinking I would save it in case it was helpful in sparking ideas for resource creation, but it's time to let it go. It's not going to be helpful for that. So we are going to actually just throw this away because unfortunately the plastic sheets can't be recycled. So we will be getting rid of this. H is for a hopeful product that doesn't actually work. Sometimes we buy things hoping that something will work or it's worth trying something, such as different medical related products or different skincare products, but sometimes they just don't work. So this is one of those that did not solve what we were hoping it would solve. I actually will insert a clip here of it just because it's larger and not easy for me to show you this way. We actually, for a while, were testing out an old iRobot vacuum, Roomba vacuum from my parents. Now, a little bit of backstory. My parents, I believe, one of the very first models that came out of the Roomba vacuum, I believe was the brand, decided to try one out. And they found it didn't work for them. And of course, whenever there's the first round of something, the quality tends to be lower as there's more troubleshooting issues and it's just new technology, so it's not always working the best at that time. Sometimes it's not as great to be that early adopter, the first person to try something. But I knew that Jake and I were pretty busy and we were really looking to try to remove tasks from our plate if possible, one of those being vacuuming. Normally it was Jake vacuuming, but still having a clean home without having to do as much physical vacuuming was very intriguing. Now we knew going in, because that vacuum had been sitting around my parents' house for over a decade. They got this vacuum, I think, when I was in high school, so it had been a long time. It was just sitting around, and I asked them, like, hey, could we give it a try? I wasn't expecting it to be working that well, just given the time, but I wanted to see if a robot vacuum could be something that we might like. If we thought it was okay using the out-of-date model, maybe a newer model would be a good fit. And so in the test, we found that although it definitely didn't have much battery life, since it was much older, it would last about 20 minutes, and it was also just very randomized, like it felt like it was going all these different directions. We knew it wasn't a good fit for us, like that particular one, but that trial helped us identify what mattered to us when looking for one, and we realized that ultimately we would like one, so we didn't have to do as much vacuuming. And so, long story short, we're decluttering this because it's served its purpose, and we did end up purchasing, it was a Shark vacuum. Now, it was on sale for 40% off when I bought it. I did buy it on Amazon. I'll leave a link below, but honestly, we are loving this vacuum. We learned from the testing of that old robot vacuum that self-emptying was very important to us because I didn't necessarily want to have to go in and manually clean it out, but it's really cool because it has a self-empty feature that it does on its own into a much larger canister that's easy to throw away. And it also goes in rows back and forth, which is great. And you can just turn it on from wherever through the app or even schedule cleanings, because sometimes we would often forget, oh shoot, we needed to vacuum and it's already 11 p.m. Night owl problems. So with this in mind, we don't forget to vacuum, and our floors have felt so clean. We also have been so impressed. It's very little, so because of that, it's actually going to a lot of places in the home where we would never clean just because we couldn't get there. Like even under our bathroom vanity, it's only like 4 or 5 inches tall there, and we can't fit. It goes under nightstands, under beds, like we are really appreciating it. So I just want to say sometimes it's worthwhile to test something out that already exists or borrow something from someone to see if that is going to work for you. Because sometimes we might try something and realize it's not worth purchasing our own version of it. J is Jake's clothing. My husband Jake went through a lot of his clothing items. There's some dress shirts in here from his teaching days. This green polo was actually my favorite shirt of his, but he didn't like it. And he was very sweet. He kept it for a long time, but after a while it's like, look, I love the shirt, but if you're not going to wear it, don't feel bad about letting it go. Nice little pile of things here to donate. K is for Kajabi. I actually recently in my last video talked about shutting down my website and transferring my course page and transferring my email page and so much different stuff. And honestly, it has felt so joyous and it's been really freeing. So that's why if you search abundantlyminimal.com, that website actually no longer exists. When I first saw it, that it was gone, it actually made me really happy, even though some people might have felt like sad. I think it's all part of the process of moving forward. And I'm looking forward to see, what comes of it, and actually more excited to be making videos. Like I was looking forward to this video today rather than thinking, ugh, I need to record videos to knock them off my to-do list to go work on the next thing. Still been very busy, but it's bringing more joy back. So that part's very cool. L is for loose leaf paper. We have a couple packs here of some extra loose leaf paper that we're also donating to our gym's school supply drive. So that will be good. We also, for M, have some music books. These are some old piano books. For about a year, in high school, I took piano lessons just because I was curious about it and wanted to try it. Over the last few years, actually, my husband Jake has been learning how to play, teaching himself. And so with that, some of these books actually came from my mom helping her parents clean out some of their stuff. And my grandma played piano, and so it had a lot of different piano books. And some of the books might have been me from that period of time when I was learning. But the thing is, even though we might think, oh yes, you play piano, so here, these are piano books. We always want to be reflective of, well, there's a lot of different types of piano books out there. Do I actually even like these? Are these at my level? Are these songs I would want to play? And if the answer is no to any of those questions, there's no point in keeping it, even if, yes, you're a piano person, maybe you might like it. And the thing is, we did willfully say, sure, we'll take a look at them, because you never know, but it's just kind of moving them on where they need to go. Someone else will get more value out of these. More school supplies. N is for notebooks. We have 3 notebooks here. I know in past videos I've shared my approach to journaling, not really like the bullet journaling, but my own form of to-do lists and organization. And we do go through notebooks, probably about 3 a year, but we had such a big stack of them, and these were in such good condition, I thought, we'll just donate these and then overall reduce our supplies a little bit. O is for other people's clutter. Now, not clutter that belongs to them currently without their consent. That is not what we are doing. But if people have said, hey, would you like this? And you say yes, doesn't mean you have to keep it forever. And it doesn't mean that it's going to necessarily work out for you. There were a couple pieces of clothing here that came from a family member. They were doing some decluttering and these no longer fit them. And I said, sure, I'll take them, because you never know what the item is. Maybe it works out. And when I first tried them on, I was not sure how I felt about them, but thought, well, I'll hold on to them for a little bit longer and see if they are something that I incorporate later on in a different season. And it's been enough time now that I can say, I'm not going to wear these. And I have enough other stuff that I love. Why would I wear these, just to mix up the rotation if they're not a favorite? So ideally, I think a minimalist wardrobe that's ideal is that you love everything that you're wearing. I know that's not always the case, but I'm going to be donating these. For P, we have this power strip. Now this came as part of a set with some international adapters that I believe my parents had purchased before our first international trip together. And I had heard some mixed reviews on the reviews of this product. So also, just with the size of it, we chose not to bring it on our most recent Europe trip that we did. So at this point, I don't think this is something worth keeping, but someone else might find more use out of it. Q is for a questionable purchase. Have you ever bought something that you weren't quite sure about, but you still bought it anyway? Well, one of my favorite brands of all time is Pact. I love they do a lot of sustainable fashion, organic cotton related items. And so I thoroughly enjoy them. Several years ago, I did need some socks, and while I was on their website, I saw they were clearancing, I think it was like a 10 pack of these 2 pairs of socks. So 20 pairs of socks for $10. And I thought, what? That's insane. What a cheap price. And they're organic cotton. It's a great business. So I was quite excited and I bought them thinking, well, I burn through socks and, once they have a hole in them, they're no longer as useful, or I could share with others. But turns out I understand why they were so cheap. They must have been discontinuing. These are some of the older style that they had, and they don't actually stay on your foot. These are the flat style that if you're wearing flats, you can't see them. And I don't really like wearing socks around the house too much, especially in warmer weather, but I was wanting something, low key like this. But yeah, they didn't actually work very well. So now I understand why they were so clearanced. They were trying to get rid of them. But anyway, even though they are, unopened here, they'll be great to donate. And they just don't need to be taken up. Like, this is a lot of sock drawer real estate right here. So I wanted to open that up and make space for the existing socks that work really nicely. So, and by no means is this representative of the packed quality on other items. I just wanted to, this was a very specific example of something that, I should have questioned it a little bit more before buying. R is for a random book. Jake found this one. He never finished it. And I think, too, it's a financial book. And I feel like some of that information can change a bit more rapidly. So with that in mind, since I think it's from 2016, it's definitely a good one to donate. And kind of thinking of the Use It Up challenge, which was a video I did in the past. I will link that actually up in the cards. I will link that up in the cards and down below if you're interested. But was using up this shampoo that either my mom or sister had tried and didn't like it. I'm always down to use up things and prevent waste. I didn't love it. I'm not going to be purchasing this product, I would say again, but I never actually had purchased it. But use it up, so I'm going to be getting rid of that as well. For T, we have some TPT Forward souvenirs, merch. This was for the teaching conference for the TPT store that my husband and I run. And they gave everyone, just the different goodies or swag, whatever they're calling it. And we just know ourselves at this point. It wasn't a situation where we could refuse it while we were there because it was like a pack of things and it had a bunch of useful stuff in it and our documents and our badges and whatnot. But we have plenty of water bottles already. And this one, although it's a nice little size here, it's not insulated, which I feel like at this point, once you start using an insulated water bottle, keeping your things cold or hot and not condensating on the table is honestly amazing. So because this one did not do that, it's not worth the space in our cabinet. And then there was also this little lunchbox, but I don't need this and I don't think we would use it. So we're going to be getting rid of both of these things. For you is old underwear. Believe it or not, for a long time, I was actually still wearing the same underwear from high school. And granted, I would incorporate some better stuff like into the mix, but I was still wearing it. And the time has come. I actually, at Costco, they had organic cotton underwear in a set for 6 pairs for $13 or $13.99, I think. So I was very excited to try them out. I really liked them and I bought another pack. So all of these can go. They were definitely starting to wear out a bit. Some of the, let's see if I can find some of the elastic along part of the waistband was like fraying and definitely not as high quality as it was back then, but it's finally time to let them go. V is for Vitamix blender. This is something actually that Jake and I recently upgraded. We had our original blender for past the warranty. Vitamix blenders and some other high-speed blenders have these ridiculously delightful warranties of 5 years, 7 years, 9 years. They really are built to last, and honestly, that blender was getting used 2 to 3 times a day for years. Maybe 6 years. So we had noticed that it wasn't always turning on right away when you pushed the button. And we were also intrigued about some of the updated features that had been added since we had first purchased that blender. So we are putting this old one up for sale, just for a very low price, mostly just to prevent random people from saying they want it like if it was listed for free and then not following through or dealing with all these, requests of interest. But we'll be getting rid of that because we did purchase a new one from Costco as well when it was $100 off about a month or two ago. So that is a more substantial thing we're letting go of, but it's definitely at this point not worth the irritation of it not always turning on right away. And of course, before sharing with someone else, we're being very upfront about these issues. W is for welcome sign banners. As teachers are getting ready for back to school, one of the products we are working on is all these different printable welcome sign templates. And I don't normally do this with all products that I'm creating, but I was printing them out, cutting them out, doing photographs of them to use in the product. And so we made so many. I've got this stack. These were just printed out at like a quarter size, but I've got all these little cards here. And I did wonder, should I save these? But I think realistically, I'm not going to need them. There's also so many here, and they're starting to curl up a little bit, probably just from the humidity we've been having here. So I'm going to be recycling these. Now, we find ourselves at X, Y, and Z. And to be honest, I could not think of anything to get rid of in my house that started with X, Y, or Z. So because of that, I found other items that actually all started with B's. So, but obviously you can substitute any letters that you want. So that's what I'm doing here. The first thing is a random box. Now, this actually was a cute little box that had some food in it, I think, when I bought it while I was in Japan back in 2013. And I've kept the box for years, almost a decade at this point, and I've never actually used it for anything. Well, actually, that's a lie. I used it in my desk drawers as a teacher for a while, but at this point, I don't have any use for it. And at the end of the day, it's just a box, So many of the other people who got whatever souvenir this was probably just recycled the box. And this is my little PSA to you. If you've got any random boxes or these things that haven't actually served a purpose for you at all, that you're just saving for, who knows what, let them go. A box especially, this is empty, but it takes up, more space. So finally time to let go of it. This is also related to travel. Jake's a big baseball fan, and we were doing a road trip last fall, and we went to, in Louisville, Kentucky, the museum there for the baseball bats. And they were giving these away for free. This is part that got chopped off. I'm not a big sports person, as you probably know, so I don't know too much about it. And so he got it thinking it was very cool, and it was very interesting. But at the end of the day, that's just a random piece of wood. I don't know, there's not really anything to be done with this. So we're going to be getting rid of that. And lastly, I've talked about this in other decluttering videos, but it's always good to revisit. If you've got that bag of bags, that plastic bag receptacle, I still think it's fascinating how we accumulate them because we never use plastic bags. We always bring our reusable bags, or if I forget, I shove things in my purse, or we carry them, or we sometimes do use a paper bag if there's no other option. But we still somehow accumulate these plastic bags, over time, of course. But we realized that recently the bag had kind of expanded. I think it's generally if we're getting food takeout, that's probably where most of them come from. But many grocery stores, for instance, have spots where you can recycle these plastic bags. So that's what we're doing. Actually, the next time we go shopping, we have quite a supply to take in there. So that wraps up the A to Z decluttering video. I know we talked about a lot of different ideas here. I'm hopeful that you can apply these to your own life. Feel free to play along with others in your family or even other friends of yours if there's multiple people wanting to do some decluttering. And I look forward to hearing about some of your progress in the comments below. Remember, if you are new around here, go ahead and subscribe up here and check out another video that you might like right over here. We'll see you next time. Bye.